What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. Today, I am bringing you the what I guess is a victory Monday, but feels like a hangover Monday with my co-host Jeff Santa, as always. 13-10, Cleveland Browns win, move on to 6-5 against the winless Detroit Lions. Really, if you can tell from the opening of this, just a lot to digest with this game yesterday. Certainly a lot to kind of weave around and talk about, I'm sure of. It was one of those games that Jeff and I did not even text through for once. And if that doesn't tell you how bad it was, then you guys need to watch it for yourself. So with that being said, Jeff, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. It's a it's a must needed win, but it seems
Yeah.
like that's the rest of the year. So it's really not that impressive. I think the Lions are actually more impressive on the other side of the ball, believe it or not, how they've only lost to our division by like a total of 6 points between two losses and a tie. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, you're at home. The not being able to score is what I do not understand. I don't know. There's nothing else to talk about for me besides the fact that we cannot score without Chubb and Kareem Hunt both on the field at the same time. It's like the offense is so handicapped for no reason. I don't understand it. It's not like we're playing, a top tier defense. It's like the Lions. Come on.
Yeah, and a very tough game to watch offensively, in a way that it shouldn't have been. Obviously, Jeff was alluding to just the way our plays are called, without Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in tandem. It's really frustrating. Sometimes you do three passes in a row, and sometimes you have three runs in a row, which the latter sounds a lot better than the before mentioned because of obvious reasons, like Baker Mayfield just not being able to, or should not be playing in that game. Should have been getting rest. Obviously, he got even more hurt from the looks of it in that game. Obviously, he was limping at points, and a game that I think everyone can agree on that Case Keenum could have gone in and either probably done a better job of yesterday or just a same of what Baker Mayfield did. But yeah, the play calling is just really whack, out of like out of sync and out of any real optimism, because I can't sit there at games and be happy with what's going on with this season in particular.
Outside of the cute play that, I mean, you've talked about where we're looking to throw to Baker, so maybe he gets hit again randomly with Jarvis Landry in the backfield. I honestly didn't hate the play calling yesterday. I thought that there were guys open for majority of it. I think both of the interceptions, there was somebody open, and it's just, I don't know what the play calling was a lot better yesterday than it was against the Patriots. I think 100%. I think that, I mean, Jamarcus Bradley is your second highest receiver after a tight end with 2 receptions and 46 yards. I guess he was a bright spot. I don't know.
Yeah,
So many more
it's
targets for people, but just not enough accurate passes.
yeah, and the accuracy of Baker Mayfield, and it's weird to talk about because as there were plenty more bad passes than there were good ones, but the good ones that were made, the one that you were talking about, or talking about the player at least, Jamarcus Bradley, where he throws it, man, I don't know how many yards it was, like maybe 30 some yards to the sideline, like perfect ball, perfect placement. And you really can't get any better than that. And then Rashard Higgins has another one of those on 1st and 20 or 2nd and 20. One of those sideline catches that were, Baker's gotten really good at with the timing route in terms of being able to pick up those long and distant plays. So, but the easy throws were the ones that were upsetting yesterday. Obviously, just missing more of those than making anything. So, again, I think it's not fair to use the excuse that he's hurt, because if he's hurt, then guess what? The coaching staff and the medical staff should overrule everything and should just go with Case Keenum, even if it's for 1 week. Like, we get it, Baker Mayfield's tough. I love that about him. But at the end of the day, if we're all riding with Baker Mayfield and the success of Baker Mayfield, which obviously is coupled with a lot of different things, then the best idea going into a week where you're playing a winless team is to probably give him some rest while the other team's starting quarterback is also out, and the next week you have to face a divisional opponent. So, and you want to be as healthy as possible, which and the atmosphere of the stadium yesterday was just probably the worst it's been in a very long time, because I could tell you for a fact that there was we're sitting next to a Lions fan, and somehow let's go Lions chant like breaks out in the stadium,
Nice.
which is just like, it's absolutely deplorable. And just like the reactions that we're getting, like obviously we have high expectations for this team, and obviously I'm going on a rant right now, but it shouldn't supersede the fact that like the team's still 6-5. They're in the thick of it. Are they playing as well as they should be? No. Are players playing as good as they should be? Absolutely not. And there's a lot of bad things to go on about, but we shouldn't be like so over the top with how our, swings and moods go. And I think that's why I try not to tweet right after games, because the emotions ride high after a win or a loss with this team, and it's almost impossible to be on Twitter in the last like 3 hours of a Browns football game.
It's almost
Sorry, Duff, I
impossible
went on a
to
little rant there.
it's almost impossible to be objective about anyone. It's like, a
Yeah,
couple
for
things are
real.
gonna, that the offensive line is gonna be good enough.
Yes.
Nick Chubb, if Nick Chubb doesn't have 100 yards rushing, I mean, we're going to lose. That's basically, what you're getting for the most part. It's more black and white, where people are like, we're so inconsistent. True. But all of our wins are the same. Our defense holds the other team to 21 or less points, and we win the running battle. I mean, it's all the same.
Yep.
All the losses are the same for the most part, besides the fact that there were games earlier in the year when we should have won and we didn't. And of course, that's going to come back to haunt us. At least there's 3 games. We really, 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 really should have 8 wins, probably, for sure. 9 could have, if we were 9-2, I wouldn't be surprised. Top of the AFC. That's what a couple possessions does to you. But Baker playing, that's such a lose-lose. I mean, second lowest QBR in the NFL this week, besides Tim Boyle. So I heard Nick Wright say it. He said that Baker might be costing himself, however many millions of dollars playing through these injuries. I don't disagree with him. I think, and
I'm in full agreement with whatever you're about to
say.
say.
I see people. I don't know though. I don't know. You might retract that, because I see people on Twitter, and Twitter is so easy to get into like these one-off conspiracies, because you see people make a good point on a context, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But I'm never going to be able to get over that. While he was making a play on an interception, he got the way he got hurt. I'm never going to be able to get over that, because if you get hurt, and of course, when you get hurt, it's an accident, but when you get hurt and it's like that was Baker's doing, was why he got hurt. I'm not saying he shouldn't have went for the tackle, but if he would have got hurt in any different way, I don't even think it would be. I think that he is, I don't know what's going on, because I think that if he would have got hurt differently, I think he might have been shut down already. I don't know what it is. If it's some sort of, he feels like he let the team down doing that. I don't know what it is, where he's to the point where Case Keenum's warming up. Does Stefanski even know he's hurt? Is Stefanski even watching? Case Keenum's warming up and warming up in post game. Stefanski goes, "Oh, I never even knew he was warming up." Is he blind, or is he a liar? I don't understand how that was the case in the fourth quarter. He said that. And then Baker doesn't talk to the media, first time in his career. So I don't know if writing's on the wall with him. I don't know if, I think that if the due diligence is that they're probably going to, looking forward, they're probably going to try to get him healthy. But at this point, resting is only going to help the knee and the foot. I mean, his shoulder's cooked. We all know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I no, and I don't think there was anything that you said about that I would want to retract my agreement from. I think you're in full right there, and I think if you watched I think the Kansas City Dallas game, I believe Mahomes threw an interception that he tried to go and make a tackle on. I think that's like it's just like a natural thing. Like if you make a turnover, it's kind of like, oh shit, like you're gonna get smoked. You're gonna get smoked as a quarterback no matter what. I think if you don't make an effort for it, you go back and you look at the Cam Newton play in the Super Bowl where he doesn't make the effort for the football, and people are ripping him for it. It really is. But for Baker, it was a greater loss that he went for the tackle and injured his shoulder and has now been playing like he has. And so he really is losing himself money. I don't know where we would be in terms of like him and being potentially back for the season if he got surgery. I don't know if there would have been a timetable or if he would have been back or whatever,
I
but
don't think
I
so.
think I think in his mind he was playing for the season and he wants to play for his teammates and all that. And yeah, yesterday was bad in terms of like again the atmosphere. You know, he throws the second interception, boos start to roar out. It's like that's bad. I mean, that's really bad that you're booing your quarterback like that. Obviously, yeah. Do we all understand that that's bad? Yeah, absolutely. But there's plenty of quarterbacks I've watched this season throw bad interceptions, and I'm sure they're not getting booed out of the park. But they also have a lot of rep behind them in terms of all the things that they have done. And I guess people just don't think that Baker Mayfield has that kind of rep. Obviously, it's tough. Like it's really bad just because I feel like we're still in the thick of it, yet we have such a negative outlook on this team right now. I it's weird because like it's one thing to be negative and then there's one thing to have like actual criticisms with things and like
Right.
not get down in the dumps about it. Like me, I was being funny yesterday and cracking jokes with like a lot of the bad things that were happening, but like not in a super negative way. But it's also fair for me to note that guys like on a defensive side, if Baker Mayfield had been playing as bad as advertised as like what he should be, compared to like a John Johnson, a Ronnie Harrison, an Anthony Walker, like all these guys that we signed or traded for, then yeah, he would be getting like destroyed all season long. But it's very hard for this team to like try to get any momentum with the fans in this stadium because if you start booing your quarterback in a game where you're playing a winless team and you want to go into next week and hope for the best against a team that's a divisional opponent and hope to get a win, what good are you doing by doing all that stuff? And all the talk on the internet is just awful. Twitter is such a bad place to be sometimes.
It's just you can't, that's what I'm saying though. It's like there's just so many things going on because I don't. Would this
Yeah,
be would Baker be playing if it was a contract year? Or if it wasn't a contract year, I'm not too
yeah,
certain. I really don't know. I don't know if this is all contract, but you're at the point where he probably had the most leverage in his career, especially
yeah,
after the broken collarbone, where if he just sits, which whenever that happened, I still fully believe we're probably 6-5. I really do. I,
yeah,
I honestly think we're 6-5. If which I said it after the Arizona game or whenever, halfway or a quarter of the way through the season, I even said it. I said I think we have the same record of Case Keenum start all the games.
yeah,
I still believe that. I really do. I think that 6-5 is nothing to write home about. I mean, you've won the games that you should for them against opponents you should beat for the most part. But you can't come out and this is where he's totally put himself in jeopardy of being with the franchise moving forward in the sense that you can't light it up against Cincinnati and then
hmm
come out and have back-to-back duds. You can't,
right,
I never hear anything about after the Cincinnati game, I never hear anything about the injuries, slinging the ball fine. And it's not like we know that this is we're not certain that this is an injury related issue. We've seen him sail balls in prior his career, sophomore year. That's all he did was sail balls. We've seen him miss
yeah,
wide open wide receivers. So he's not setting a good precedent in this fact that there's no clear evidence that the injuries are the only thing holding him back. I think that we've seen him play like this in his career. Like I said, in his sophomore season, he didn't play like this
last year,
the last 10 or 11 games down the stretch last year, but it's to the point where you're not, these next 2 weeks, regardless of what happens, who knows what's going to happen this week. You're missing
yeah,
key wide receivers. DPJ hasn't played in God knows how long. You're missing probably your best linebacker, and then you have to go back-to-back week, well, 2 out of 3 weeks, I guess, with a bye in between, and you got to win one of them. And if you win one of them, you're probably in trouble. So it's a big mess,
right,
but at least we won yesterday. At least we could say that we did not lose to the Lions. So that's a
yeah.
positive.
I think and Jeff, we didn't talk about it, but obviously you harped in our text messages before we started. It's just like the small things in terms of like
Yeah.
penalties. Like,
Well, we
how are
didn't
we
have a
still getting?
sack yesterday. How do you not have a
Yeah, that was bad.
sack? You think
Yeah,
we're going to sack Lamar Jackson? We have 0 sacks on Tim Boyle. I totally forgot about that until now. But you're right. Yeah, penalties are bad, dude.
the penalties are very bad, and that's all. It starts at the top with the head coach and everything, and it just. I think Kevin is. If the video that's going around right now of him going, "What the are we doing?" It's pretty self evident of like that's just
He
the
doesn't even
whole.
know.
Yeah, it's the whole fan base and the organization. But I'm convinced that he's like overthinking things because we've had the talks about Case Keenum. If we have Case Keenum play, you're probably 6-5, right? I think if you bring in any quarterback, maybe like Tom Brady is the only one who you bring in and something different happens, like drastically where you play a ton better. But the way that Kevin Stefanski is play calling right now, I don't know that there's a lot of quarterbacks that you can bring in, like in terms of like, around the Baker Mayfield, like money that I feel like is talked about. Like if we're talking about the higher end guys, like maybe you get 1 or 2 more extra games just because they have like an extra, they have the wheels or I don't know. But the way that Kevin Stefanski play calls, I don't know that you can bring another quarterback in here and be like things change drastically because you watch our wide receivers. Sometimes they're, sometimes it's weird because sometimes last week no separation whatsoever. They're not getting separated from anyone, and then this week, I think this is a bad week to compare it to wide receivers because wide receivers are obviously open on some of the throws that Baker Mayfield's sailing, but he's also making very good throws. And it's just tough because I think Kevin Stefanski is really like out coaching himself in terms of like what he's trying to do. The cutesy plays, like you like to call him, Jeff, in the red zone. Last week you bring in a fullback to play quarterback. This week you bring in
He don't even
Jarvis
let Baker
Landry to
touch
play
the ball.
quarterback.
He don't even let Baker touch the ball in the red zone.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, it's really tough. And the thing with success, Jeff, is that last year you're 11-5, you make the playoffs, and you go and you win a playoff game. People don't get fired, and I'm not saying Kevin Stefanski's going to get fired, but I'm saying that and we haven't even talked about Joe Woods. We didn't even talk about the defense yet, and
Defense was
I don't know if
fine.
we're going to. This has been longer than I thought it would be, to be honest.
Fine.
But yeah, I mean, it's just with success, you don't get like to firing people because it's like, well, why would you change things if you've had success? Now, the good thing about last year to this year is we're not having as much success as we had last year.
Right.
Granted, things can change if we somehow won out, highly unrealistic. Then yeah, there could be a chance that Joe Woods gets fired because, like you said, Jeff, the defense yesterday, the 0 sacks. Guess what? When you're rushing 4 people and only Myles Garrett, you're not gonna get the pressure that you need. And the sacks were non-existent. I think that's the first game Myles Garrett hasn't had a sack. That might be an actual statistic. Thank God for Malcolm Smith being, until Denzel Ward got his second interception, our leading, defender in the pass game in terms of getting turnovers.
Right.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. The zone defense still is so upsetting. I still don't get why we don't just play man. Like, yeah, last week we played man a little bit more, and Mac Jones threads the needle on 2 of our safeties to Kendrick Bourne of all people, and I don't know. The defense, while held the Tim Boyle to 10 points, it's just still frustrating to watch and amazing that we've allowed less than 20 points in 5 games.
We just don't. I mean, you see other teams around the league, like even the Dallas Chiefs game, like that Dallas didn't play very well, but they created turnovers. Like they had a couple splash plays. The fourth quarter last night with Pittsburgh and the Chargers.
Yeah.
block punt and then interception for
Yeah,
Pittsburgh in the fourth quarter. We have to get lucky to get an interception. Malcolm Smith has to make an unbelievable play, or Denzel Ward has to
yeah,
make an unbelievable play. You saw 3 weeks ago with Cincinnati, we had 3 splash plays, we win by 30. Okay,
yeah,
that doesn't happen. I mean, even the games you could see those in the games that we lost. The Chargers, we have one big play to Njoku, and we lose that game. The Chiefs game, it was all basically take what the defense gives you, which was fine. I actually didn't mind the Chiefs game, besides the fact they had 2 splash plays. We fumbled a punt and we fumbled a Chubb had a fumble. So we're at the
and
point
Baker threw an
where
interception
yeah.
at the end of the
So
game.
I mean, how many turnovers do we have? You're right though. Like Denzel has 2, Malcolm Smith has 2, Greedy has 1.
One,
John Johnson
Troy
has
Hill has
1.
one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like some of these teams have 15 turnovers. We have I don't even think we have double digits yet. So
right.
we're at the point. To your point about there's Joe Woods hot seat potentially, but you're at the point where Andrew Berry is Stefanski and Joe Woods and the rest of that coaching staff. Those are his guys. So I
Yeah,
mean, it's going to be talked about, and we're going to be bringing content throughout the rest of the season, throughout the off season. But you've seen how Andrew Berry's done his job. He's paid people who have consistently played well. He don't got
yeah,
any ties to any. He didn't draft Baker Mayfield. He didn't.
yeah,
He didn't draft Denzel Ward. I mean, if Denzel stays healthy, I think Andrew Berry will probably extend him, but that could be a big
yeah,
if. And there's not a lot of that front office wasn't even in here for the 2018 class. So you're at the
yeah.
point where you feel that if you're a player, like what's coming, especially for some of these guys who've been playing totally subpar, like a Ronnie Harrison who's probably not coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was a great point, and that's probably the biggest thing. Like, in terms of just drafting new guys, like it's not hard to get replaced in the NFL. It happens all the time.
All the time.
You quite literally, you watch what was it, Josh Rosen get drafted first round,
Mhm.
and then next year Kyler Murray's drafted and they're gone, and
Yep.
he's gone. I mean, it's not hard for guys to get replaced, and certainly I would put almost everyone who hasn't gotten extended already on that chopping board of like, you guys better pick it up, because
Right.
at this point either you're going to play on the 5th year deal, the last deal, and you're going to have to test the waters or whatever, or
Right.
you're just not getting an offer, and that's it. And that's Andrew Berry, and he's been very respectable. I think the only thing that he's messed up on is the Austin Hooper signing, which
Yeah.
it is what it is. But besides that, I think that was a very good point about, Andrew Berry and what he's got to do. But obviously we got to let that happen in the off season, because can't really do much about it now. So Jeff, you got anything else to say before we call this one quits?
No, but we got to have a good week of practice. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll be bringing the update Friday as always. I will be back at my normal setup. This is technically the place that I have the setup, but not the equipment and not the room. So I will have that set up by the time we have the next recording. So with that all being said, thank you all for making it through this. Let us know what you think in the comments below about this game and the situation the Browns are currently in at 6-5 in the division. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, leave a like, and vent your frustrations in the comments, because we certainly did that in the video. So with that being said, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.